but I really am excited to see how Molly Seidel does on this course.
Wow. You guys have been talking back and forth about a lot of stuff, and wasn't sure what I wanted to add, but then was that John overcompensating right there? A lot of praise from Molly Seidel. All I know is when I got into the office this morning, fired up the message board, and came across the following thread. LRC Women's Rankings, Molly Seidel not even top 10. Yes, that's right, folks. Our rankings are out. I was actually going to pin them out. There was a slight pause there for me. Sorry, I was researching. I was going to pin all the rankings on Jonathan Galt. I just wanted to be confirming that my byline wasn't on the rankings. But neither is John's. The article is by letsrun.com, so I guess I'm partially responsible for them.
What do you mean partially responsible, Robert? I submitted these to you a week ago, and it took you like almost 2 weeks to, or all right, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. It took us to publish them because you wanted to make your alterations. You did make alterations in a number of cases here. Don't act like you're not responsible for these. You signed off on them 100%. They bedrun.com byline. They're letsrun.com rankings. They're not just my rankings.
Hey, Molly, I'm a big believer in everything you've done. I've never doubted anything. Well, maybe the
yes,
plain
you believed
story.
Everything you've ever said. That's for sure.
Maybe the plain story, but not your ability. But no, John, the rankings are very hard for me to do because you sent them over to me to be edited, and like the first one I was looking at was the men's 800. I spent like almost a half day like analyzing the men's 800, and like by the time I got to the women's marathon, it's the very end. So I didn't spend a lot of time looking at it, but I do remember going down to the bottom and seeing Seidel as number one American. I'm like, wait, she's not in the top 10 of our overall world rankings. I'm like, should she be there? And I spent a few minutes thinking about it, and I kind of thought, I understood your logic, so I didn't change it. I mean, first of all, the rankings are very hard to do. They're subjective. I mean, I think like some rankings are obvious. Like actually, our rankings, the first 5, I just looked it up, with the exact same as Track and Field News for the marathon. But then after that, it gets a little bit difficult, and it's particularly difficult for the marathon because, in a normal year, people only race twice. This year, many people only raced once. So I would say since the first half of the year was eliminated, I'm not going to sort of hold it against you if you only raced once. Because someone's like, look, Seidel was 3rd in the Olympics and 4th in New York. Shouldn't she be in the top 10, in the world rankings? But when you look at it, to me, I spent a lot of time on it this morning. There's no doubt. I think the top 9 are perfect. I don't think she's better than any of those women or had a better year than any of the women in the top 9. You've got the Olympic and New York champion, prepares to Churcher, number 1. Jocelyn Jepkesky won London, number 2. Angela Tanui, who won 2:17:57 and won 2 other marathons, including 2:20, number 3. Bridget Kosgei, number 4. I don't know if I need to go through everybody. 2nd in London, number 5. 3rd in London, number 6. 2:19 marathoner and 2:21 marathoner, number 7. I mean, the woman ranked number 8 is won Valencia in 2:19:31. And then the woman ranked number 9th is the Berlin winner in 2:20:09. Is winning Berlin in 2:20:09 better than finishing 3rd and 4th in 2 other races? Certainly, if it was an Olympic year, I think everybody would agree with that. Yes, it is. If we're not going to penalize people for not racing 2 marathons because it was a weird year, I think that, in my mind, Nancy Jelagat of Kenya, our 9th ranked woman, 1st in Valencia, 2:19:31, had a better year than Molly Seidel. Or excuse me, that was our 8th ranked runner. Gautam Gebrselassie, 1st in Berlin, 2:20:09, had a better year than Molly Seidel. I mean, normally at a race, we're not thinking, oh, this person got 3rd. This is amazing. It's because the Olympics, we're excited about it. Now, the question is, should she be 10th ahead of Ruth Chepngetich of Kenya? Chepngetich won Chicago in 2:22:31. Again, if we're not holding that against someone not racing twice, I would say that's better than finishing 3rd in the Olympics or 4th in New York. But Chepngetich did run 2 races, John, and she dropped out of the Olympics. So Seidel beat her there head-to-head. The more I think about it, I kind of think Seidel should be 10th ahead of her.
Yeah, it's a tough call, right? And you're saying, oh, was winning Chicago more impressive than Olympic bronze? Well, in a normal year, yeah, but actually the Chicago field year was really weak. Like, who did she even beat in this race? So maybe that is an oversight. Maybe I should have put Seidel in there. Yeah, with the Olympic bronze. I don't know. It's tough to compare. It's really tough to compare marathons, but Seidel does have the head-to-head victory. She doesn't have a major victory. I don't know. It's just kind of
John,
of a toss-up, but
I think we need to be man enough to admit it. We made a mistake. We'll put her at number 10. Can we change it? Walden, are we allowed to do that?
Wow. I was just about to joke that we were just saying let's run as a one place where people are critical of pros, and that, man, you guys should have just thrown her a bone and put her in the top 10, sort of joking, just get a little love from Molly, but now you guys are serious. Are you going to backtrack, not have any backbone, put her in the top 10? Are you guys just trying to be liked by Miss Seidel?
no, I'm just trying to create the best rankings. Well, then, do you have an opinion on here? What do you think was the more impressive season, the better season? Third at the Olympics, fourth in New York, or a DNF at the Olympics and a win in Chicago in 222? You could argue fourth in New York in 224. That alone is about as good as winning Chicago in 222, based on just how easy the courses are.
Wow, she faded to 222 in Chicago. Chicago was so weak this year. And, man, there's a couple things going on. One with the COVID, before, I wasn't penalizing the one race. I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt for one race. But do you factor in her getting beat at the Olympics?
Yes, you have to. The more I think about that, that's why she needs to be ahead of her. But in your defense, John, I was just looking at the men's rankings. And I kind of thought it was like a stronger year relatively and for the women than the men this year. But the ninth, before everyone thinks that we've got some personal vendetta against Molly Seidel, the ninth ranked men's marathon in the world this year for us is Abdi Najee of Netherlands. This guy got Olympic silver and fifth in New York. So that's better season to me than Molly Seidel, who was third in the Olympics and fourth in New York. So very similar, and that's how far down they are. So
yeah, but you still ranked higher than we ranked Seidel.
I think she gets it because we do reward people for doing 2 marathons. So I think this year we didn't penalize people as much who only had one body of work, and I'm fine with everyone else being ranked ahead of her. But usually winning Chicago, it's Ruth Chepngetich. She's got all these credentials. She's so good. I think if she raced Molly in Chicago, she'd beat her heads up. But that's not what happened. In Chicago was so weak this year. Usually, John, she fades like she did at Chicago. She doesn't win that race. I mean, you guys would say that.
Absolutely
she
not.
still did win the Chicago Marathon this year, but I think you put Seidel at number 10 now.
The 222 should have a huge asterisk the more I think about it. But this shows you how hard the rankings are. I mean, how long have we been discussing this? This is just one ranking spot out of, 8, 15 steeple, 5, 10 marathon. There's 12 events. I mean, if I'm going to spend 20 minutes on every one spot, it's quite time intensive.
But hey, you got to know how the American running ecosystem goes. The American runners should be ranked about 4 or 5 places higher than they deserve. People get pissed if they're not ranked. But whoever started that thread, I think they deserve some props. I think we're going to do it here, right? Officially issue we've retracted a couple rankings before, haven't we? But it was pre-COVID. I don't remember what happened then.
At least once. One of them involved, I think, Emma Coburn, that I don't think we had her ranked highly enough, and someone made the case and we responded. So we're not perfect.
Wow.
We just try to do our best here.
I was going to say, it's a registered user by the name of High Hope started the thread. I'm like, let's send them a free pair of shoes. But I pushed my secret button that only I have access to look up their IP address. This person's not even American. Posting from Great Britain. Wow. I don't want to have to send the shoes overseas, but she's got fans all over the globe.
Hey, On ships everywhere, man. They're an international company. Free pair of shoes for that person.
But I should have spent more time on it But again, perfection gets in the way of done. That's why I didn't get up for John for like 10 days, because I started analyzing this 800 and I was like, if I just spend this much time, I spent like 4 hours in the 800 rankings. I'm like, if I do this, it's never going to, then I just gave up and didn't look at it for like 4 days. And then you're like, you're going to publish it. So then I went through it. And again, I was looking at Seidel. I'm like, oh, she's not there. And I also thought one of the questions I asked myself in my head to justify it without looking too in depth in it and spending 20 minutes like we've just done with this mental exercise was, I thought, is she one of the best 10 marathoners on the planet? Like if you're looking for the 10 best people and only they can start the race, no, she's not. But did she have one of the 10 best seasons in 2022? Yes, she did. Barely.
Yeah, you're not ranking, is she one of the 10 best marathoners in the world? You're ranking, did she have one of the 10 best seasons last year? Which I think we all agree she did. Congratulations, Molly.